Welcome to Animal Posse, the podcast dedicated to the people and rescues making a difference in the lives of animals.
Today, we're going to be learning all about rats from Darleen Watts, the director of the For Love of Rats Rescue.
Hi, Darlene. First, can you start out by telling us a little bit more about yourself and how you got involved in the For Love of Rats Rescue?
Okay, so I will start off with me as a kid. I was around 9 or 10, and I've just always been drawn to animals in general. And people would always come to me with animals, whether it be a chicken with a broken leg or orphan baby possums or things like that. And keep in mind, I'm 9, 10 years old, and these people would bring them to me. And I just automatically just knew what to do with them at this age. No knowledge of it. I just knew. And I would heal the chicken's broken leg, or I would help the baby possums and release them and things like this as a child. So this was always me. That's always who I've been. And then I'll move forward to how I got into rats. As an adult, I had a son that said, "Hey, let's go get a pet." And at the time, I wasn't really that knowledgeable of rescues. So we went to PetSmart. He wanted to get a lizard. And they said, "That's really not a good pet for a 9-year-old. How about a pet rat?" And the stigmatism of pet rats, you know what it is. Everybody does. And I thought the same thing. Oh, I told her, I says, "Oh, no, not no nasty, evil, disease ridden rat." And this is hilarious because I love animals, but yet that stigmatism of not really knowing better, I went along with it too. And she's, "No, rats make excellent pets for kids and anyone." And so we went to look at the rats, and my son picked out a little black and white female, and there was a little cream colored and white female with her. And me being the person I am, I just could not in my heart leave her by herself. So I says, "We'll take her too." And she went to put her in the box with the other one, and she jumped on my shoulder. And I was like, "Okay, she needs to go in the box." And the lady says, "No, she can ride around the store with you on your shoulder." And I says, "Okay." So while I was going around the store, getting the things for her and everything, she was making this noise. And I didn't know what this noise was. So, me being a researcher, I come home and I started researching and found out that she was doing something called bruxing, where they grind their teeth together, and it meant that she was happy and content. So that really just piqued my interest. I fell head over heels in love with her. She was so intelligent, so clean, so smart, so loving, so empathetic that I just fell in love with her. And remember me telling you people would bring animals to me as a kid? It never stopped as an adult. People found out I had a pet rat, and they're like, "Hey, can you take my rat? I can't take care of her." And so I was like, "Okay, yes, I'll take her." And then people would like, "Hey, can you take my hamster? Hey, can you take my gerbil?" And it just kept going and going. And a friend of mine said, "Darling, why don't you just start a rescue?" So I did. And then I guess that was probably around 2010 where I decided to start the rescue. I was not a nonprofit then, and I struggled to get funds and stuff for all the animals that people were wanting me to take in. And then I guess it was around 2012 where Wendy of Magic Happens Rabbit Rescue helped me with the paperwork to go nonprofit. So that's when I officially became a nonprofit.
The first rat that you had, the one that you got from PetSmart, what was that rat's
Mhm.
name?
Her name was Delilah. She is pictured on the rescue's Facebook page, licking my hand.
So would she be like the namesake for the rescue?
Yes, because she was the very first one.
And how long ago was that before you actually got into taking in rats from other people?
I believe I got her around 2010. and probably started getting rats within probably a month or two after that because I went everywhere with her. She went to the bank with me. She went to the feed store with me. She went to Walmart. She went to watch my son graduate from the army. She went and laser tagged the movie everywhere. I'm telling you, she literally went everywhere with me because she was so intelligent. I would tell her, Delilah, it's time to go. And she would come run and climb in my purse and hide in my purse. And she would only come out if I told her she could. And it got to where people fell in love with her. And I'd be in Walmart and the cashiers would be, is she there? Is Delilah there? And I'd say, Delilah, and she'd peek her head out just enough that they could see her, but no one else could. And they just loved her.
Oh, that's cool. So, would she ever go on your shoulder in public, or you mainly just told her to stay in the bag?
Not unless it was somewhere that she was allowed. I took her to the Renaissance fair one time and she rode around on my shoulder. And if she had to go potty, she would pull on my collar and we'd go and I'd put toilet paper down and she would go potty and I'd flush it.
Wow, that's amazing. That's really cool.
I'm telling you, they're so intelligent.
Wow. I knew they were intelligent, but I had no idea that it was like to that extent.
Yes, I call them pocket puppies because they're basically like little miniature puppies.
That is really cool. I will tell you that I did follow you on Facebook, and I've seen you on Facebook for a long time. And we have some property that's out in a rural area. And when we were cleaning, Philip went to go dump something out. And when he dumped it out, there were baby rats in there. And so he brings them in to me and he's, oh my God, look what I just found. And I'm like, oh gosh, because we couldn't throw them away. I know most people probably would just throw them away, but I'm like, there's no way that we could throw them away. So I know I reached out to you because I'm like, what do I do with little baby rats? So, but I ended up bottle feeding them. I had somebody that I spoke to that did rats and did like little bottle rats. It was somebody that you had referred me to. And
Probably was wildlife rehabber friends. I'm friends with a lot of people.
so anyway, I was bottle feeding rats at the same time I was bottle feeding kittens. And the rats were actually better at eating from the bottle than the kittens were. But it was cool. So we raised them. We did release them back out in the country when they were about 8 weeks old.
Yep.
But you were the first person that came to mind when we found them. It was interesting raising them because it's a lot different from a kitten. And like I said,
Right.
as tiny as they were, easier to take care of than the kittens were.
Yeah. They're just really amazing animals. I just really just that one experience had me hooked.
Can you describe what your rescue and rehabilitation work entails on a daily or weekly basis?
Okay, so it's a lot of time and a lot of work to take care of them. I don't do just rats. That is the main focus is rats, but I take in lots of other exotic small pets as well. But as far as taking care of the animals, there's a lot of washing. We have to wash a lot of hammocks and towels and washcloths and things like that in the washing machine. But then you have your hand washing stuff, lots of dishes, water bottles, toys, hides for them to hide in, and just any kind of toys and things that you put in their enclosures to keep them from getting bored because them being intelligent, they need lots of things to occupy their brains with in their cages. Feeding, I started off with commercial food for them, but I have gravitated towards a more natural diet where I make the mix myself and put in vitamins and things specifically made for them. So I have to do that. I have to make the mix. I make probably about 100 pounds a month. You have to feed them, make sure they have fresh water, clean water bottles, clean their litter boxes. In the beginning, I did the normal cage where, you have some shavings, but it's safe shavings. There's some that are not safe. Some shavings and things like that. And it was a lot of work for just me to keep up with. So I wound up going bioactive with the rescue. So now I don't have to do as much of that part because when you go bioactive, you don't have to empty the cage out all the time. It never gets emptied. It stays there. It's basically, it's more of a natural environment for pet rats, which are Norway rats. They live underground in dirt and stuff. So this is what it is in this cage system. It's a dirt system that has what's called a cleanup crew in it, which are called isopods. I don't know if you know what isopods are, but they are commonly called roly-polies. So they keep that part of it clean for me. Of course, we have medical things we have to deal with over here too. If they get respiratory issues, you have to treat them with medications or any other kind of things that we can treat here. Obviously, we have a vet that we love very much. We go to Azalea Lakes Veterinary Clinic in Baton Rouge. If it's something that we need to bring them in for, and they're wonderful. They not only help us, they help the whole rescue community in general. They're just a really great vet to go to. Of course, sanctuary animals stay here so they don't get adopted out. We do work with that too, and we have a process that we go through for adoptions and things, fundraising. I guess we'll probably get into that more later, but that's basically things that I do on a daily basis.
How many hours a week would you say you put in?
Okay, so I get up around 7 in the morning and we go to sleep around anywhere from 9:30 to midnight. Sometimes could be later. It just really depends on what's going on and what I need to get done. And this is every day. I don't take a break. And anytime I do take a break, it's a big deal. I type out almost like a booklet to-do list for whoever is going to come and take care of the rescue while I'm gone. And then, of course, they come here and I do a run through of everything before I leave so that they actually see me doing it and how to do it and things like that. So it's a big ordeal. So I don't take very many breaks. So it's pretty much every day.
That's what it is in rescue. Everybody runs
Uh-huh.
into the same thing. Now, do you have a lot of volunteers that help you out?
No, I don't have any volunteers. My husband, when he's not working, will help me, but that's not very often. I may sporadically get volunteers, but when they figure out how much work it is, I don't usually hear from them again.
It sounds like it's quite challenging to keep up with everything. So, what keeps you motivated?
I just have it in my heart to do this, and I will do this till I no longer am physically capable of doing it. And even then, I won't completely be out of it. I'll do other ways. I'll network or I'll use my extensive knowledge from over the years to help in other ways when that day comes that I can no longer physically do it. It's my love and my passion.
What about where the rats come from?
Okay, so it really varies. Most of the time, it is from people that get them from pet stores or breeders, and they want to surrender them for various reasons. And then the rescue community, we all know what those are. Usually it's, I've had a baby, I'm pregnant, I'm moving, my kid won't take care of them, I've developed an allergy. You've heard them all in the rescue community. Usually that's what it is. Then we get calls from the pet stores. Hey, someone just dropped off this rat or this gerbil. We can't put it on the floor. Would you take it? Or from other rescues or other animal shelters that don't have the capacity or the knowledge to take care of the animals that we do. We'll get calls from them. We've gotten calls from gas stations saying, hey, someone dumped a bunch of baby pet mice. We've caught them. Can you take them? Or in the wood, they've been dumped, or a guinea pig or whatever. We get calls from hotels or rental places. Hey, someone abandoned their chinchilla. Can you take it? We've been involved in a lot of hoarding and abuse and neglect cases where we have taken in hundreds of sugar gliders at one time, or guinea pigs at one time, or rabbits at one time, things like that. Rats as well. We have had lab rats from colleges where we drove to Tennessee to pick them up because they was going to be euthanized if they didn't find a way for them to go somewhere. We've taken in rats from the haunted house in Baton Rouge. Can't remember the name of it right now. Just various things, or a lot of the times we'll get calls, hey, we got these hamsters from the pet store and they said that they were both females and one was not, and they've got a whole litter that we can't take care of. Things like that.
When you take them in, I would imagine you go through like a vetting process on them. Do you have to do any kind of rehabilitating as well? And then also like
Mm.
acclimating?
Okay, so I like to do quarantine in non-rat homes for 5 weeks, if possible, 3 weeks minimum. And the reason being is we want to make sure that the animals that we have here that have already went through that process are not exposed to anything. So they would typically do that. And I've lost all of my foster homes and quarantine homes for various reasons. They've moved out of state and things like that. So I don't have any right now to do that. But usually what I would do is I would make a post on our pages saying, hey, we have such, and give the information and location. We are looking for someone that can do this and this. And when someone responds, then I'll have them answer questions for me so that I can vet them. Same goes for if someone was to foster or to adopt. We have a 3-page adoption application and a contract that I go through, and I will decide if I'm going to approve or deny an application. That's with anyone in the rescue community. You have to do that because it's our responsibility that we took, that we would make sure they were safe. And we need to make sure that they continue to be safe when they leave us to the best of our ability.
Absolutely. Now, do you get them vaccinated and do you get them spayed and neutered?
Okay, so rats do not require or need vaccinations. We only spay or neuter the rat if it's medically necessary. It's just too many, and the risk is a lot higher than it is for dogs and cats under anesthesia and stuff. So it's only if it's medically necessary. And one of the medically necessary things would be pyometra for females, where they have to be spayed. It would be an emergency spay. And then for males, it's if they have hormonal aggression. Once you get them neutered and the hormones dissipate, then that hormonal aggression will go away. This doesn't happen all the time with all the males. Just certain males may get hormonal aggression, and that would be the solution, is to have them neutered.
What are common health issues that you see in rescued rats?
So rats are very prone to respiratory illnesses, and they are prone to tumors. So those would be our common things. I've worked with some of the top vets and rat experts in the world. So I've learned a whole lot about how to help prevent that as much as possible, and the proper treatments for those things to help them stay as healthy as possible. Of course, husbandry would be one of the things. Diet would be a good factor. Genetics are going to play a part in it, of course. Treatment, when you notice it right away. And with rats being prey animals, they're really good at hiding illnesses. So you have to know and pay attention, listen, watch their behaviors and things like that. And as soon as you catch their first sign of illness, be proactive, treat right away with the right medications, the right time frame, the right dosages, and to help them get well faster and to stay well. Because each time they get a respiratory infection, it puts lesions on their lungs so that they're more weakened of immune system and more prone to having reoccurring chronic illness. And we don't want that. So we want to try to treat it as soon as possible correctly.
With the tumors that they're prone to, is that because their domesticated rats were originally bred for the purposes of being lab animals?
Yes and no. The reason why they wanted to do testing on the rats and mice in general is because they are prone to tumors. So that's why they tend to do that. They have mammary glands in several places, and that's usually the tumors that they get. And females usually get them more than males, but males can get the mammary tumors as well. That it's believed that some of it could be helped with diet, spaying early, as young as possible could possibly help. It doesn't always help. It's just part of owning rodent, unfortunately. You just do the best you can and hope that what you're doing works. Basically, that's why they do a lot of research on it, because they are so prone to it. But the benefit outweigh that for me and for many others that fall in love with them. They just really have so many human emotions and empathy that it just astounds me at how loving they are.
Yeah, they're very misunderstood. They just have that stigma, like you said,
Uh-huh.
where people just think
Yep.
they're gross, they're dirty.
Oh no, they're so clean. Them as
Exactly.
animals. And the only reason why they wouldn't be clean is if they were having to live in human waste and filth areas. They groom more than a cat does. They literally groom all the time. They don't like to be dirty. They go in a litter, you can litter box train them. They go in litter boxes. They are just so clean. They do not like to be dirty.
So, can you tell people what is the difference between a domesticated rat and then a wild rat?
Sure. So remember I said that pet rats are Norway rats? So that would be their specific species is a Norway rat. They do have wild Norway rats, not so much in our state as in other states, but they do have them. Most of the wild rats here in our area would be roof rat, which would be Rattus rattus. So there are different species in a pet rat. They are built differently than Norway rats. Norway rats tend to be more round and larger and not quite as long of a tail. A roof rat tends to be more slender and smaller, really long tails, very quick and agile and climb a lot less clumsily than pet rats. Pet rats climb too. Norway rats climb too. They're just not as agile as roof rats are. So that would be the main differences between them, that they're different species and they're built differently. Roof rats tend to actually have very little respiratory problems and tumor problems compared to Norway rats. In captivity, Norway rats can live between 3 to 4 to 5 years, but not normally that long, but it can happen. Roof rats in captivity can live 5 or more years. Their health is just a lot different, a lot more improved. Roof rat in the wild are not going to be pet material. Now, there are some roof rats that if you've had to rehab them from infants and they are non-releasable, they could get along with humans quite well, and they do. So, in general, pet rats, Norway rats are what people keep as pets. And that roof rats are clean too. They're clean animals.
Yeah, it's just a big misconception. People see them and they freak out and they're scared of them.
They're scared. They're just as scared or scared of us.
So, what do you feed your rats? You said you make your own kind of mix.
Just in general, the UK tends to be better at research and pet care than us. So they came up with something called the Hunamite diet. And basically, they took every component that a rat would normally find and forage for on their own and took it and divided it up into, okay, you need this much protein, you need this much fiber, you need this much, so on and so on. And so you follow that guide that they have, and then they give you a list of things that you can include in the mix that meet those qualifications. And then there's a company that makes specific vitamins that you mix into the Shunamite diet to make it a complete healthy diet. And you can still offer treats and other things like fresh vegetables and fruits and maybe a scrambled egg or a boiled egg or thing. You can still offer those things because rats enjoy sharing some of the foods that we eat as long as it's not full of sugar or sodium or things like that. And there are some things that you avoid giving them because they cannot process or digest them or it could be harmful to them. And there's a list of those things that I give to adopters as well. And then you mix all this together and then you measure out how much each rat gets a day. And it's generally should be a fourth of a cup per rat, but you have to sometimes adjust it to maybe a really large male rat may need a little more than a fourth of a cup, or a rat that is young and energetic may need a little more than a fourth of a cup. So you learn how to adjust that. And I found when I went from that diet to from the commercial rat foods, which is going to be weird to say, but the tumors haven't as prevalent. They still get them, just seems to have went way down.
That's interesting.
Yeah. And remember I said diet could play a part of that. And that's the thing for us as humans. Eating too much sugar can feed cancerous cells or things like that. So that's why they used them for the research, is because of the tumors being prevalent with them. And so it takes a lot to really go into it.
So I would like to know more too about the bioactive bedding that you use with the isopods. So
Yes.
can you go into a little bit more depth on that?
I can. So bioactive tended to be more towards the reptile community, but it has now gone into a lot more other animals, as in rats and mice, hamsters, gerbils, things like that, as a way to enhance enrichment, more of a natural habitat, healthier, and then a long run cheaper for me as well. The initial investment was not cheap. Taking an entire rescue and going bioactive with it, the initial was not cheap, but in the long run it is, because I'm no longer having to buy tons and tons of bedding to change out all the time. So basically it's a specific soil mix that you mix, and you have plexiglass bins that you make to put into your cages. So that's what you put your soil in. The soil has to be correct for the species of animal that you're doing. So I did a lot of research on each species of animals, natural habitats, and it has to be right for the cleanup crew, the isopods and springtails that you're putting in there, because that's what's going to keep your soil clean. They're going to keep it clean from any waste or any food or anything else that gets in there, so that you don't have to mess with that. The only thing you do is you clean their litter boxes and change out hammocks and toys. But I went more natural with the enrichment part of it too when I did that. I went more with water hyacinth basket with soft orchard hay in there for them to lay on, or leaves, fresh, safe leaves, because isopods will eat leaves. They need leaves to eat anyway for their part of their diet. But the rats also enjoy moving those leaves into their little sleeping places and things. It's more natural for them. I went natural with like hemp toys and things like that, more natural versus the things that you see in the pet store. Now, they still get some of those things. We still hang up wooden toys and things, which is still natural to me if you do the natural wooden toys. I found that respiratory cut way, way down when we went bioactive. We went in keeping the cages clean. We tried paper bedding, which was probably the worst out of them. It didn't control ammonia very well. We tried fleece for a while. That wasn't good. It didn't control the ammonia very well. And then we moved to pine or aspen shavings, which I still use in the litter boxes. But going bioactive has cut down on respiratory illnesses to almost none.
So as far as the litter box, is that bioactive as well?
It is not. So so you want them to have a place to go potty that doesn't overload your cleanup crew because rats and rodents go to the bathroom a lot. So you want that litter box to offset that. Yes, the cleanup crew can clean that up, but you don't want to overload them. So rats can be litter box trained, and they are. I go to Walmart and I get the 2 packs of the Sterilite. I don't know if it's Sterilite. It's the Walmart containers, and I don't use a lid, and I put it on the trays in the cages, and I have a system where I put pine shavings, soft pine shavings down, and then I use pine horse stall pellets on top of it. And then I sprinkle a little bit of the sweet PDZ horse stall refresher to help absorb any odors or anything. And then hemp bedding goes on top of that. That's my system. And it has really made a difference.
Do you do the same setup for fosters?
We cannot do bioactive for fosters, but I would definitely want them to keep with the litter box system for that part of it because I've found it to be the most effective.
That's very interesting. I never knew anything about the bioactive for that. So that was very interesting to learn about.
Yeah. Now I have adopters that have went bioactive because when they have come over here, they're like all these animals and we smell nothing. It smells like outside, like dirt, basically clean dirt. And they was impressed with it and wanted to go bioactive. So I helped them go bioactive as well.
And where do you get your isopods?
I now have them and can replenish them myself. And there's a whole community of isopod people that I'm a member of, and people will get them from me or I'll get them from other people or vice versa. But isopods are going to breed on their own. There's nothing you do to get them to. They just do. And then when you have too many, you have to find a place for them or the colonies will crash. So this has been a new way for us to raise funds for the rescue. I have over 130 species now. And people contact me all the time ordering them from me. And that helps fund the rescue. I used to have to go online and beg all the time, hey, can you please help the rescue get this off of Amazon? Hey, can you please help? I very seldom have to do that anymore. We still appreciate donations because it helps, but I don't feel like I'm constantly worried and constantly stressed anymore because of this new way to raise funds for something that's already going to just breed on its own. I use it to help fund the rescue.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's awesome. As far as the rats that are in your sanctuary, what do you do to keep them happy and stimulated?
The bioactive is a big part of it. They tunnel and make all kinds of little tunnels and things in there and dig and have fun doing that. They will snack on their cleanup crew sometimes, so therefore I'll have to replenish them. Yeah. Lots of, we call it cage clutter for rats. They like that. They're going to have branches to climb on. And you know how the birds have the bendy rope things in their cages? They'll have that in theirs. They'll have various toys that they can tote around or toys that they can chew on or things like that. So they have lots of that. And of course, rats should not be alone. They should have companions of their own species with them, which when people adopt, they must adopt in at least pairs.
And I would imagine that's pairs of females and pairs of males, not a male
Exactly.
and a female, right?
Exactly. And when they fill out the application, we'll know if they already have rats, we'll know what they have because that's on the application. Unless they've already been neutered or spayed, because sometimes people have them neutered or spayed and then they surrender them later, or sometimes we have to have them neutered or spayed. So then that comes into where they can put a male with females or a female with males. I will tell you that female rats will dote on a neutered male rat like crazy. It is the funnest thing to watch.
So what do you mean? What will they do?
Oh my gosh, they will just groom him like he's the king of the cage And even though he's 3 times bigger than them, they'll pin him and he'll squeak, even though they know darn well that he could do something, but he chooses not to. It's just so fun to watch the whole dynamic of it. Like, they know he's the boss, but he doesn't force it on them or whatever. Now, if they do something that he doesn't think they should, he'll set them straight. But for the most part, males tend to be really laid back. The females tend to be more run around and excited and stuff like that. Male rats, most tend to be, oh, Mom, let's watch a movie and eat some popcorn. They're the lazy, laid back, calm rats for the most part. And then females tend to be like, oh, Mom, what's that? Pew. Come back. Hey, Mom, kiss, kiss. Pew, what's that, Mom? And so they tend to be more curious and more active in things. So when you put a neuter male in with females, you get the best of both worlds. You get the calm, lazy, gentle male, and then you get the excited, fun females. You get both. And then when I was telling you about how empathetic they are, I have a story. It's going to be a tearjerker, but it will really get people to understand just how special they are. We had 2 male brothers surrendered quite a few years back. And when I was doing my rounds, I noticed that one of the boys didn't seem to be doing well. So I picked him up. I held him and I loved on him, and he passed in my arms. When that happens, you have to let their cage mates know. You can't just take them away. They will grieve themselves sick. So I had him in a little blanket and I brought him to his brother and laid him in there. And his brother took his 2 paws and he shakes his brother and he's wake up. He's trying to wake his brother up. And he does it like 2 or 3 times. And then when he finally realized, oh no, he's not going to wake up, he starts grooming his brother's face, like really cleaning him up and grooming him. And then he takes the blanket. Oh, I always get emotional with this. He takes the blanket and he covers his brother up with it. And he lays on top of his brother and he just lays there. And I let him have pretty much probably half of the day of him just laying with his brother before I took his brother to go bury him. And he didn't give me enough time to find him another friend, and he passed from depression.
Oh,
I
that's so
tried to
sad.
find him someone. Yeah, that will tell you, if nothing else will tell you, how loving and how empathetic and how just amazing they are.
That sounds like what humans do. And people always think that animals
Exactly.
are stupid and animals don't have personalities. And it's definitely not the case.
No, it's not.
Yeah, that's very sad.
Yeah. So we'll go with a positive story now. So we did a sad one. We're going to do a happy one. Yeah, I know. We have to. It's- You know how we go through the adoption process. Someone adopts, and I always have them come and visit each animal. A lot of people, oh, I want this color, or I don't want this out. You know what I tell them? I just let them pick you. I said, that will be the best decision you ever make, is to let them pick you. And we had this one cage of rats. They didn't like anybody, nobody. They literally were one. Anytime when someone would come, this particular couple came, and I said, I'm going to show you all the rats. I said, but these never want to have anything to do with anybody. As soon as I opened the cage, they all ran to her and him and climbed up on them and started just giving them kisses, just lavishing them with kisses. And my jaw dropped. I'm like, they never want anything to do with anyone. They, of course, wound up adopting them, and they would message me a week later, a month later. Thank you so much. These are the best pets we've ever had. We love them so much. Thank you so much. And it goes to show that they have their preferences too. They have their own personalities too. And they picked their family. They picked them because everyone else that ever came, they had nothing to do with them.
Hmm. Yeah, I see animals do that all the time. And it
Mhm.
aggravates me when people don't pick those animals because I see
I
that a
know.
lot with
They
kittens.
missed out on the best,
Mm.
really and truly the best.
Where do you have your adoptions?
Because of COVID, we let our pet smart stuff go away. I have to go back and reapply for it, but I can still do adoptions. I can meet. So usually we'll say, okay, we can meet at PetSmart parking lot or wherever. Or if they're in a foster home, we've done it before where we'll get on a conference call and the foster parent will meet them at the foster home and we'll go through the whole adoption process that way. It just really depends on the circumstances and what's needed by each party. But usually that's what we do.
For listeners who are interested in helping rats, what are some ways they can get involved?
I have a big need right now, and I don't know if it's something that anyone can do, but I'm going to mention it because it's a big need. So the way we clean the things that we need cleaned is outside on our patio, and it's uncovered. So it's in the rain, and it's in the sun, and it's in the weather, and it's hard for me and for volunteers to do what we need to do safely and efficiently if it's raining or if it's too hot. We had a donor donate a stainless steel carport to be bolted to the concrete on the patio and a cover to protect from the weather. We're looking for someone that can install that for us. The donor said she is willing to help pay labor to have that put up. So that's one of our major needs that we really, really need. So I will mention that first. Other things that we are always in need of would be things off of our Amazon wish list. We have a Facebook page. We are on Pet Finder, but I have struggled to keep up with it. Food, sometimes fresh vegetables and things for the animals would be nice. Of course, volunteers would be great. I'd like to have some quarantine homes again, so maybe someone that may be interested in that. Transport is always a need, and it's always a struggle for us to find transport. And by that, transport to the vet or transport to a foster home or to a quarantine home or things like that. Those are things that are important because I can't always travel and take care of the rescue. It's just me, in other words. I'm a one-woman show right now. Fundraising is always needed. We have a Facebook auction group for the Love of Rats Rescue Auction group, and people donate items to help us raise funds, and we have a monthly auction for that. And we've had people donate all kinds of things. We've had them donate designer purses. We've had them donate dishes. We've had them whatever. Tons of different things have been donated. We've had them donate specific pet items, even for dogs and cats. So if you have dogs and cats, our auctions are for you too. Jewelry, people will donate all kinds of things. And it's been a big help for fundraising over the years. We've done it since 2012, had an auction every month. We have our annual Christmas auctions, which are really big because we reach out to big companies and stuff, and they donate some really nice things for the auctions, for our Christmas auctions. We're always looking for better ways to do things, better ways to raise funds. And of course, anyone that donates, we can write them a receipt for their taxes since we are a 501c3 nonprofit. We also can do any kind of like service hours or anything like that. If you need us to fill out any paperwork for any of that kind of stuff, we can do that. Med students and things have come here before and done some of their hours. So just whatever any ideas anyone has, we're open to it. Any kind of help or donations or fundraising or whatever, we're open for it.
And where can people find you online or get in touch with you?
The way Facebook did things makes it so much harder now for people to contact me because they now make it you have to switch from page to page, and sometimes the page won't load. Sometimes it won't let you switch from one page to another. It just keeps spinning. Sometimes it won't send me notifications. So they can go to the rescue Facebook page for the Love of Rats Rescue, but it's so hard to communicate that way. I find our email is a lot easier for communication. A lot of the times when they go to the rescues page, I have an automatic message that pops up and it'll have our email address on there and it'll have our phone number that you can text. Text is a great way too. I prefer text over calling just because I may be in the middle of something and I can't really get on the phone. But if you text, I can text you back. when I'm not in the middle of taking care of an animal at the time. We do have a website that someone set up, but the problem with that is for some reason it's not notifying me when people message me. So I have to personally go and check to see if someone's messaged me. So that's really not the best way. My personal pages are great. Facebook page is a great way to message me because I'm always on there. Even if I'm doing work or something, my phone's with me. So if someone messages me on there, it pops up and tells me. Not so much for the rescue page. Those would be the ways that I could be contacted the best.
And I'll add a link in the description
Okay.
too, if you want, to your personal page.
Yeah, we do not give out our address because in the past, we'd wake up Easter morning and there'd be baby rabbits on our porch or things like that. So our address is not public. We only give our address to someone that has qualified specific things like dropping off donations or things like that. Then we would share our address at that time.
Is there anything else you'd like to share with our listeners before we end the call?
I guess my thing is don't form an opinion before you actually experience it. Don't always believe everything that you hear and don't always form that opinion until you actually experience it, because that could be the pet that changes your whole life and touches your heart like it did me.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for taking the time
You're welcome.
to educate me on all this. I've never had them as
Mhm.
pets, but they've never bothered me. I always
Right.
thought they were cute creatures where most people are squeamish towards them. But
Yeah.
but this was very educational.
I guess one more thing I would mention is that our main focus is rats. We have many other species of pets here. Chinchillas, dagoos. We get ferrets in, hedgehogs, gerbils, hamsters, mice, African soft fur rat. We've even had hermit crabs surrendered. We've had birds of various types surrendered. We've even had tegus, savanna monitors, iguanas, bearded dragons. We get a variety of exotic pets here. And I have done extensive research on each one of those species to give them a proper diet and a proper care. And I will share that with whoever adopts from us, each one of those specific cares. So that would be something that for people to keep in mind too, that yes, most of what we have is rats. We have about 70 rats right now, but we have various other species here as well.
Yeah, that sounds like you have a lot going on for sure.
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right. Goodbye.
Bye.
And that's all the time we have for today's episode. If you are in animal rescue or if you know someone that has a story that should be told, please contact us. We would love to have you or them on the show. Thanks for listening, and please join us next week as we continue to explore the world of animal rescue.